Hello all, welcome to Surreal Sculptures, featuring my severely bound woman figurine, narrated by Richard, owner of Surreal Sculptures. My goal is to produce a line of miniatures and figurines with a very hardcore bondage and BDSM theme. My first bondage figurine began with my rough sketches, more or less creating a rough concept of what I wanted to produce. Good sculptures always start with good drawings. Soon after, I began sculpting the torso of my sculpture, and then I sculpted the old leather hood for the sculpture. After I sculpted the prototype pieces, I then made certain that the head and torso were in proportion and looked great. Next is creating the silicone molds for the different body parts. Once the molds are done, creating resin casting can begin. I felt like experimenting with the old leather hood first, so from the castings I made, I took a few and experimented with color variations while keeping it looking old and weathered. Here I am playing around with possible color and rope applications. Now I can begin casting body parts such as arms, the breasts that will be bound up on the figure, and casting more old weathered hoods. After the casting of the parts, I assembled a mock-up. This allows me to study the figurine after assembly, which helps me greatly when finalizing the look. Then I made multiple castings of the sculpture. This was a very rough first version of the figurine. Then I assembled a figurine bound in actual duct tape, which looked pretty cool. I took a casting that had some imperfections and created my first figurine bound with simulated ropes. I like the authentic look of real rope fibers on the sculpture. I added some bruising, scrapes, and hemorrhaging for an authentic, painful look on this figurine. This is the third and latest version of my BDSM figurine. More detail, cleaner airbrushing, and some pretty authentic rope work make this one look great. I was pretty vigorous with the use of the simulated ropes. This simulated rusty metal pipe between her legs is a great tie-off for additional simulated ropes on her pelvis. I also added simulated rope knots on her body and hood. Here are my two final versions I want to use on this particular figurine. There will be subtle variations, but basically this is the look I want. I hope you enjoyed this short video on the creation of my extreme bondage figurine. It will be available very soon. Thanks.